There's been a lot of talk recently, especially in America, about autistic people in the workplace, or the lack of, apparently, and it's such a nuanced topic, but it's being talked about so black and white. And I wanted to talk today about autism in the workplace, in a 9 to 5 typical job, and not only the struggles, but why I think that not all autistic people do fit into those job roles. Anybody who's come to watch this and then use this as evidence of what has been said being true is clearly not intelligent enough to understand nuanced topics, and therefore I'm not really interested in that opinion. Typical jobs are not off limits for autistic people, and there may be some autistic people and neurodiverse people that thrive in that environment. I myself am not one of them, but I do work and pay taxes, and I work full time unless I'm off, like I am at the moment. And some would say that proves the point. You are off, you are unable to do the job. I don't see it that way. However, a lot of businesses do. But there are reasons why autistic people struggle in these job roles. One of the first things that I think some autistic people struggle with in a typical job is the structure. It is normally a very rigid structure. It doesn't take into account needs or the fact that some people are slower than others at doing things. Some people are able to get to a target, but it may take them longer, or they may have to take a different route to get to the same target as another individual. But often in the capitalist society that we live in, they want everybody to be the same. They basically want robots before they replace people with robots. And that is probably one of the biggest reasons why there is a push for AI, because AI can be controlled. AI can give you the same result each time doing the exact same thing. And unfortunately, in a capitalist society where money making is the most important part of the job, people who have needs or do things differently can be easily pushed aside for those who can just get on with it. So we have an environment where it is difficult for an individual to fit into the very strict hours and targets. Then we add on top of that office politics. People with autism can struggle with just socialising in general, but when you add them into an office environment where there may be inside jokes, there may be arguments and friendships and backhanded comments and unspoken word, it can be really difficult to feel like you fit in, and it can be really difficult. And unless you find a good group of people or a person that you can rely on and trust within this environment, it can be extremely difficult to feel included, but also extremely tiring trying to fit in. Something that goes along with this, and something that I feel is one of the biggest problems in an office-based environment and those type of jobs, is playing the game. Now, if you are a neurodiverse, sorry, you can hear my dog playing with his ball. If you are a neurodiverse individual, you may have heard this term spouted or said to you many times. People say you just need to put your head down and play the game. The problem is, I don't understand the game. I know what the game is, I know what people are asking, but I don't understand or really have the ability to play the game, because that means doing things that I don't believe in, or admitting to being wrong when I wasn't, or allowing someone else to take credit for something that they didn't do, or not pointing out behaviour that I deem inappropriate or wrong. And that's another thing, that unfortunately pointing out when someone's made a mistake or done something wrong is seen as aggressive. Often within the workplace, it's seen as disruptive, it's seen as going against the grain, and it's seen as being naughty almost. It's something that you can get in trouble with for conduct, especially if the person that you are saying was wrong is somebody that is higher up than you. Unfortunately, it's something that a lot of people with autism can struggle with, and it's something that I struggle with, because if I'm pointing out something that's wrong, I'm not doing it with any other motive than the fact that it's wrong. And if I do something wrong, I want someone to tell me that I've done something wrong. If I've made a mistake, I want someone to tell me I've made a mistake. But in the office type environment and in this business world where everybody wants to go above and everyone needs to make more money, because let's be honest, people are struggling right now. People tend to do things to each other, or will not admit to making a mistake, or allow somebody else to take the blame for a mistake that's made. And I can't do that. And quite often that can get me in trouble. People can misinterpret my words. I can state a fact and it's seen as being argumentative. And I think this is something that a lot of individuals also struggle with. Being misunderstood is massive within the autistic community in general. And this is something that can stop promotion. It can cause issues, and it's so tiring constantly being misunderstood and trying to explain to people that that is not what you meant. Another impact on people with autism often is burnout within the workplace, and this is for many reasons, a lot of which I've just discussed. But masking and trying to fit in an environment that isn't built for you becomes so tiring, and it is like a cycle, and it's a cycle that I've been stuck in since school, because I would always start the year really wanting to try and really wanting to do my best to fit in and to make friends and to keep up with the schoolwork and to make people proud and to not stand out. And I would do this successfully for a short period of time, where it becomes so exhausting. Then comes the spiral, then the mental health, the depression, the anxiety, and the complete burnout. And it's something that I only learned about recently when I was diagnosed with autism, because it was always just seen as massive depressive episodes. And although depression is involved, it is the complete burnout of trying to fit in a system that isn't built for the individual. And unfortunately, this does copy over into a workplace that is built in the same way. There's a reason that schools are built the way that they are. They are to set people up for work life, because that is how our society is run. And I understand that businesses need to make money, make profit, they need to work, there needs to be targets. I am not arguing with that. I have always worked. I work full time the majority of my life. However, that doesn't mean that there are not problems. And another misconception in society today is that now places are inclusive. And although there is significantly better inclusive communities, and we do talk about mental health and autism a lot, and we are getting better in some ways, we do seem to be going backwards in others. And some people see inclusiveness and understanding and accepting that not everybody has the same abilities as other people as woke. And there is a movement of people who believe that people are being babied or snowflakes. And unfortunately, this bleeds into how people are treated within work and within the system. And because of this, a lot of the time as well, inclusivity is seen as a tick box exercise. There may be a session in a workplace which explains all of the typical problems that a neurodiverse person may have. But unfortunately, once a person who is autistic starts to show signs of their autism that is disabling and that doesn't fit into the quirky, understood symptoms of a person who has autism that may be represented in the media or that people understand, they become too much, or they become playing on their autism or it is deemed unsuitable for them, because people don't like differences. Unfortunately, it is the way a lot of people are brought up, and they don't like what they don't understand. And so, if an individual who was able to do a job for a certain amount of time, but then completely crashes and needs time off, yes, that time off may be given to them, but the likelihood is that they will be punished for that. They may end up losing the job eventually because it can't be sustained, or they may be punished in other ways. They may get warnings, or they may not be able to go any higher because it is deemed that they would not be able to cope. When in reality, if actual real adjustments were in place and these people were not judged for the things that they needed to help them, we would probably see a lot more autistic people thriving, and it's in the workplace. And this is the reason that I think, and I've thought about often, the amount of successful people in the content creative job system that are neurodiverse is massive. If you look at some of the most successful YouTubers, content creators, people behind the scenes that people don't even see, gaming, design, all of these type of jobs where that individual is able to work how they are comfortable when they are given the chance to use their own coping mechanisms, they thrive. And I think that says a lot about autistic people's abilities, and that it's not that they are incapable, it's just that we are living in a system that is not catered to individuals with problems. We, instead of trying to make everything accessible, we will make an exception for an individual, the same as putting in ramps instead of stairs. Everyone can use a ramp, not everyone can use the stairs. So why is there an option for a ramp rather than ramp just being what is put in? Is it because it looks better when there's stairs, and we see it as there's less people who need a ramp than there is that need stairs? That is just a black and white way of trying to explain what it is that I mean. But right now, we are at a really scary time. There's a lot of talk about individuals with disabilities, and I haven't got the answers, but I do know that we need to stand up for these individuals who struggle, and we need to realise that it may be us that are holding them back. And if we don't talk about these problems, we can't fix them. And it's also a slippery slope, because although some people may be trying at the moment to hide their disdain for disabled and neurodiverse individuals by claiming that they are looking for a cure to help them, they are still making statements like these people don't pay taxes. And in my opinion, autism is not something that can be cured. Autism is something that individuals are born with. It's a different way that their mind works. It's a different way that my mind works. And I understand the damage that's being done to me for not getting diagnosed until later in life. But you can say that you are trying to help by finding a cure, but that means that you believe that those people are incapable or unworthy until that cure is found. And that is just not the case. And also, you can change your tune and say it's not all of them, it's just some of them. But it always seems to be people who are so pro life that are also so unwilling to accommodate and take care of our most vulnerable in society. And unfortunately, you can't have both. You can't be pro-life but also not pro-living. And I think workplaces at the moment they're not perfect, but also they are possibly gonna start going backwards in progress that's already been made, and that scares me. So I just wanted to talk about this. I am trying to make more videos, but I'm trying to edit less because that's something that I've really been struggling with. It might not sound difficult to others, but it really prevents me sometimes. It just freezes me thinking about the editing process. So please let me know if this is okay, and let me know your opinions down below. But as always, no hate. Please like, subscribe, follow, and I will be back soon. Thank you.